I'm like, what is that? Just for a little bit. Thank you so much. I want to be part of that board meeting. Well, good evening, everyone. Come on, good evening, everyone. I mean, you all are beautiful out there. I'm not just saying that. I'm looking at the colors for real, and I'm looking at the tables, and I'm saying the white with the contrast. It is wonderful to be here, and I am really excited that each and every one of us has the opportunity to come out. So what we're going to do at this time, before let me see. I think what I'm going to do is we're going to introduce ourselves before we do the opening prayer. Is that okay? Well, the ladies want to hear me anymore. Here. Okay. So we're going to do introduction. Just something brief about yourself. The group is one that we're going to do something small and brief, so we know who's in the room right now. Is that okay? So I'll just go ahead and start to give an example. And so my name is Andrea Gibbs Brooks, and I am one of the elders here at New Jerusalem Estate Church. And I also work for Bethany Christian Services of Georgia. And I'm so happy to be here because we're an agency that works with vulnerable children at risk, and their families. And what we want to do is just be a part of the community that has a similar vision as we do. We have foster care and we have adoption and other things to help the young people. So this evening is a good place to be as we work with one another as a community. So I'm going to start over here with this gentleman, just something brief like that, if you don't mind. Share who you are, what you think, you know.
Good evening. My name is Ricardo Jones, and the reason I'm here is because we started, a chapter of Sleep in Heavenly Peace It's actually an organization that builds beds for children. So this past June 21st, we built at the Rose location in Douglasville, 26 beds. So the reason I'm here this evening is because we just started this past October, and we realized that this is bigger than our church. So we're looking for the community to be part of it, to be part of the core group, to make deliveries, to make contacts, to vet the people. So that's the reason I'm here. Amen. Wow.
My name is Mary, and I get coach for youth mentoring, and we offer free mentoring for children from situations where they're struggling. Generally, it's a single parent, low-income family, and so we go to the child and spend at least 1 hour every week, one-on-one, and have one-year contracts so it can be solved without creating like work to the child. So we're trying to be a positive adult role model because this child needs, so he's getting one-on-one attention every week. Somebody is there for him. So that's awesome.
Everyone, my name is Shadow Of The Steeple. One of the reasons I'm here is that Bethany realizes that we need to partner with community members in order to serve one another as well. So we're just so excited to be invited to this meeting and the best part of after is these pivotal connections that I see. Talk about adult development and both parenting and coaching. Why am I here? I have a spiritual gift city, and I'm always looking for opportunities to give. So I just started a book called Giving Recklessly, Safe Pace, and it's to inspire higher levels of generosity. And how many of us know generosity is not just about money? We have to be creative, we have to be mindful, we have to be intentional about finding ways to help serve and give to others. So I'm always looking for opportunities to do that. So I hope to connect with you too. Leslie Nelson is the way.
Amen.
I'm Michael Sizemore. I'm at the Good Samaritan Center. We're a food pantry, and we see a high volume of people, and we have a chance to talk one-on-one with each family that comes through. So everybody that's here is a potential resource for the people that we serve.
So everyone, guys, your hands, your business, and classes of Angela, in Alabama. Thanks for having me. Hi, everyone, I'm Angela Jackson. I'm a member here in Houston. Also, secretary educator. Why are you here? So I just want to know where I fit into the for business. Almost a year. I'm also a licensed professional counselor and counseling practice, research counseling, and my major focus is children and adolescents. And I've done a lot of work with children that's in foster care. So when I heard about Care Portal, I was there when they launched the other week, and I just believe that we need to be a part of it. So that's why I'm here.
Tim Edwards. I am a barber, local barber. I am
days. Well, they're here to see how we partner up. Period.
My name is Elizabeth Joy. I'm a member here of this church. My, it's time to time, but I'm here with curiosity. I'm here to see how I can help. Natasha Nicholas, a member here. Since you said the hospitality skills, educators from fifth grade to and I've been thinking about becoming a person. Two daughters this morning, we cannot help the children. So that's what just graduated. So the door is open now for you to across the pan and help out. I'm sure.
My name is Rosita Bache. I am a member here. I am the head usher in the school church. I work at a school from kindergarten to grade 12. Listening to this, I actually have a master's degree in human services. It comes to emphasis, which I have used. So, who knows what the Good evening, everyone. My name is Sylvia Sodi, and I'm an elder here. I'm an elder here. I'm also the prayer coordinator ministry leader here. So just remember, anyone here who needs prayer, special prayer, please go to church and just leave your name at the number that comes up so that I can get to pray for you. I love to.
My name is, I don't need a drum roll here. My name is Drake. No, I'm the first Drake before the money came. I'm the first Drake. But I'm not a rapper. I'm married to, what's your name, Shirley? Delicious. Delicious meal. I was ready to be put out the house, but I didn't come. No, listen, seriously. My name is Drake. I'm from Minnesota. I'm from St. Paul, Minnesota. I'm a transplant southerner. Transplant. I love it. But been pastoring for 43 years. Don't I look good? I enjoy it so much. And they can tell. But more than anything, I joined a church called the Pastor Church that is tremendously community oriented. I love it. That's my heart. I'm glad to be a part of this machine because it is a fantastic church. And it's helped me to get. I'm here because, number one. Number two, I'm here because this is the right place for me to be. I'm glad to hear what we're going to try to do for our children. For 6 years, I served as the youth director of our for 3 states. And I've had a chance to be around young people of different ages everywhere. And to know that they need mentoring, they need people to care. And I'm glad to be at this conference today. I wish more people, and we're going to get more people. My wife always talks about having an adoption agency. How do we manage this, the flow of our young people and children, so they're placed in right places, right homes, so they can become a Bias, a Simone, so they can become those because they have potential. And when I see the potential that young people have, raw potential,
untrained, undisciplined. I said, if we could just get that one, just that one, then it would make it. So I'm here to be glad to be a part of this. I just want to put your opinion for this speech.
Voice deducted for legs.
Okay, my name is Kai Sullivan. I am a member of Region One, probably a member of Region One. And I have a heart for young people. I've always got a burden for young people. And being that light for them, being that voice for them, being that safe space for them, has always been my mission. And so I know what God said. So, that's no problem.
I'll pass it over to
My name is Shirley McKee, and I'm the leader of hospitality.
Yeah.
I'm also assistant treasurer, and I'm
Glad to have you, Charles.
Deliveries, of course, this is my one.
Oh.
And I'm also here as a member, one of the others. Multiple things, okay, with them.
Yeah.
It makes money out of it. Whatever I can help, if you can see, I'm available.
Hello, everyone. I'm Wayne Robinson. Professionally, I'm a security officer, member of New Jerusalem, head of the media department, CRC. Here, streaming, making sure we can get the message out. I'm very interested in the community, reaching out, trying to help in any way I can. So I appreciate all you guys coming.
I want to make sure everybody here came because they're really into this. So we want to just hear a word.
Hello, everybody. My name is Stephanie Bissett. I am the head connects here. I was bottom Miss World Star. I do love children. I wanted to be a foster parent 10 years ago, but I had my stepfather with me now. I can go forward with it. I just need a house. All my kids are grown up in college and in the Navy.
Yeah, we want to clap your voice and talk. Yeah.
I am ready to open up.
Well, thank you all for coming. My name is Darlene Sheridan. I'm the Executive Director for Midway Community Resource Center here in St. Louis, CRC. And we have been very community engaged. And I was at a chamber meeting, heard about the care portal, and something stuck out that one of the presenters said in the shadow of the steeple about all the people in the community. So that's why tonight is called In the Shadow of the Steeple.
Amen.
Please show the hands of people here. Thank you so much for people here to stream it. I wanted to definitely mention Dr. Kimball offered our executive director who wanted to be here and couldn't be here. But we want her to know that she and all those that are out there viewing online, that this information is for you too. And I know God will use each of us. So I'm here to do the welcome and the prayer. So before we actually pray, to actually get into the presentation where you will go ahead and introduce our speaker. We're going to pray, but I wanted to share this with you. Isaiah 68 verse 6 mentioned this text is so important to me. And as a leader for the Family Life Department here, that is something we stand on. It says that God puts the lonely in families. Isaiah, and that's 68 verse 6. He does. He's intentional. And so when we have children and families who need to be cared for, you go to James 1:27 and Exodus 22:27 that mentions pure religion. And we're here in the shadow of the steeple. Pure religion and undefiled before God is that we're taking care of the fatherless and the widows, those in need. And so I am just so happy that we're here. So before we go any further, we're going to bow our heads. We know God is already here, but we're just going to ask for His Spirit to work in us, show us how we can come together in His adopted love to do the work of His purpose. Father, thank you so much for bringing us together. Lord, nothing happens by happenstance. It is not a mistake for the people here that are gathered in this room. Those who are online under the sound of my voice are here for this particular time in this moment of history. We pray, dear Father, that you will help our hearts to be able to receive whatever message it is that you have for us. You call us individually and you call us collectively. Father, where one could chase 100, Father, 10, 12, 30, it exponentially increases when we come together. And so we pray, dear Father, that as we gather here, that you will help us to hear something that motivates our spirit, inspires our heart to go out and continue to do the work you've already called us to do. What your purpose for us to fulfill, you will complete it through us. So help us, Lord, to be your hands, your feet, your eyes, whatever it is you want us to be. And then anyone, dear Father, whom we minister to, whom we touch, when they see us, when they hear us, when they're in our presence, may they sense you and desire to know you even more. And Lord, when everything is said and done, we pray that you will get the glory, you will get the praise, and lives will be transformed, not only at the physical level, but spiritually as well. It's all prayer to you. Jesus is wonderful.
It is to speak. Her name is also Andrea. And she has been with this service you'll need to know more about care portal for 3 years. So she has a master's in social work, has been working in the field of foster care for over 10 years. She is passionate about supporting vulnerable children and family and believes the church, as us, should be at the front lines of caring for vulnerable children. Andrea has also been serving in her church for 19 years alongside her husband, who is a pastor. Andrea and her husband, Jeremy, have been married for 19 years. They have 3 beautiful girls. And a little Eva. So I'm going to have a quick song play. Well, they will do that. Okay, that's okay. You come on up, Andrea.
Well, I was just about so excited listening to you guys all introduce yourselves. Because my prayer of the way driving over here was that, that the Lord would just bring together a group of people that were after his heart and his heart for Jesus. And just listening to each of you introduce yourselves, I was like, okay, God, you did it. So we're gonna be just fine today. So I just want to thank you guys for having me here tonight.
Oh, she started?
Like Darlene just said, I've been working with them for over 3 years now, and got to meet Darlene when we actually launched Care Portal here in Douglas County, probably about a month ago now. So super excited that Care Portal is here. We are in 44 counties throughout the state of Georgia right now. So yes, it's very exciting. There are 159 counties in Georgia though, so 44 is great, but also we still have a lot of work to do. But so I'm just grateful to be here tonight. Thank you for your time. Thank you for coming out to hear about Care Portal and hopefully how you guys can be involved in it. So the wonderful introduction was so nice. And I have been, my husband started out as a youth pastor, so I have been in the lives of kids for a very long time. He
is now how I like to tease him. He's graduated. He's now the pastor of adults and discipleship at our church. But I've always been so just involved with kids, with youth, and that is where my heart is. So, yes, so this is me. Yay. And I hope that I can get to talk to you guys afterwards. So we can go ahead to the next slide here. So I don't know about you guys, but I hope you all, I'm sure you've heard that there is a child welfare crisis in our country. Every year, there's over 3 million agency investigations that happen in the U.S. About 400,000 kids that are in foster care every single year in the United States. And over 100,000 kids waiting for adoption, waiting for a long-term home, someplace that they can feel like they belong. And a lot of times when we hear about the child welfare system or kids in foster care, we think, oh, their parents are just terrible or their families are terrible. And that's not necessarily always the case. A lot of times kids come into the foster care system for the most part due to poverty. Whether that's, just not having a home, not having the resources they need, not having a bed. Thank the Lord for Sleep in Heavenly Peace. They have been such great partners with us here in Georgia. And so that's a lot of reasons that kids enter the system. There is, of course, abuse and neglect, but a lot of times it's poverty issues. And that is something that we as the church can step in and take care of before kids are even taken out of their homes. So that is a big part of Care Portal's heart. We can go to the next slide. So for those of you who don't know kind of how the foster care system works or child welfare system works, we're going to talk about that real fast. So before kids enter care, we have agencies that are working upstream. So meaning before kids actually get into the Department of Child and Family Services. A lot of times these are your schools, these are hospitals, these are nonprofits that are working within the community that are trying to keep families together. And we love those agencies. We need more of those agencies that are working with families before they have the opportunity or have the risk of their kids being taken. And then the next slide here goes into prevention and preservation. So this is when the department actually gets involved with the family. So a report has been made. There's been a report of either abuse or neglect, and the department goes out and investigates that. When the department goes and investigates, they're still trying to keep families together. That is the goal. So as they are investigating and seeing what happens, they're trying to see what's going on. Like, is this a case of just, like I said, poverty? Is it just something, is there a resource that this family needs before we remove these kids? So they're kind of looking at all of that. And again, the goal is to keep the family together at all possible. You can go to the next slide. However, if a risk has been determined, then a child will be removed from the home, and then that's when they get placed in out-of-home care. So that could be a foster family, that could be a kinship family, which is maybe another family member or a close friend of the family. It could be a group home if necessary, and so that is when kids are removed from their families. There's research to show that if kids move multiple times when they are outside of their home, just the detriments that can happen to them, the risk of getting behind in school, the higher risk of mental illnesses, because they don't feel that permanency. So again, I heard a few of you say, feel like you might want to be a foster parent. Like, that would be amazing. These kids need families that are going to say, hey, this is hard, but we're going to stick with you and we're going to support you. So that's awesome. So we can go to the next slide. So the goal when kids get removed from their families is always permanency. The goal is hopefully to replace them back in their homes with their families. But sometimes that is not the case, and sometimes parents' rights get terminated, and then children are available for adoption. And then adoption can be a complex thing as well, and we need great families that are able to adopt our children as well. For those youth that stay in the system until they're 18, they have the ability to sign themselves out of foster care at the age of 18 and transition out of the foster care system. A lot of them do that because they have been in the system for years and years and have not found that person or that family that said, I will be your person, we will be your people, we will help support you no matter what. So a lot of them leave, even though they can stay in the department until they're 21. But a lot of them are just like, no, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore, which makes sense. However, if they do not have someone that is there for them, someone that they know that they can call, someone that can be like a good influence on their life, like we were talking about the mentoring, I love that. They have a lot of obstacles ahead of them. A lot of youth that age out of the system are more likely to become homeless. They're more likely to be incarcerated. They're more likely to get pregnant really quickly after leaving the foster care system, and then at risk of their kids going into care because they don't have that support. So that is the crisis that we are facing. This is what is happening to the children in our countries and here in our backyard. Let me go to the next slide. I forget what comes next. Here we go. Okay. So we are going to talk about just some numbers here in Douglas County. I think that's the next slide. Here we go. Thank you. So these are numbers that are happening here in Douglas County. So this is from last year, 2024. There were 553 agency investigations that happened here in the county, and then 135 children were removed because of those investigations. And there were 11 children last year waiting for adoption here in Douglas County. So these are the kids and the families that are living here with you guys here in this county that you have the opportunity to serve. We can go to the next slide. I love that the other Andrea shared this same verse that I was going to share. James 1:27. This is our mandate as the body of believers. This is what the Lord has asked us to do, to care for the orphans and the widows. That those that we serve, the least of these that we've served Him. So this is not something that we can just kind of turn away from as the church, right? This is something that God has placed in our hearts and in our lives from the very beginning. I love how Darlene made this in the Shadow of the Steeple. Where that came from was my boss. He was a former pastor, pastored for 20-something years before he moved on to doing what he's doing now. But he had no idea about the foster care system, about the child welfare system, about the crisis that was going on until a little boy in his congregation was with a foster family that went to their church, and they were about to give him back because they just couldn't do it anymore. And it was his wife that came to him and told him what was happening and started their journey to become foster parents. But he said, I didn't know about the families that were falling apart under the shadow of my steeple. There was so much going on in my own backyard for the congregation that I was supporting, for the community that we were in, and I did not know. And that's something that happens. We are so involved in so many things as bodies of believers. There's so many things that are put on our hearts that the Lord wants us to be involved in, but there are people just right outside our doors that need us, that need support, that need to know that they are not alone. And so that is one of the biggest parts behind Care Portal, behind what we do. We want people to feel and know that they are loved and that they can have meaningful connections beyond just an agency in their lives, you know, that whatever they're going through, that we can come and support them as well. So we can go to the next slide. Just some more, you know, verses, Micah 6:8, Ephesians 4. This is our mandate. This is what God calls us to do. We can go to the next. So a lot of times when we talk to churches about, you know, what is it that is holding you back, or what is it that, what's stopping you? What are the barriers? Well, you know, again, like I just said, there's lots of things we want to be involved in. There's lots of ways we want to serve. There's lots of people that we are in our church and maybe they don't know the best ways to serve. So those could be barriers to getting us involved. You go to the next slide. Some other things that we hear sometimes is, well, we don't have access to these families. Like, do we just go knock on their doors? Well, sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. Is this trustworthy? Like, are these people being vetted? Do we know these needs are really real? Are these people just looking for handouts? Are there more resources? Like, what if we don't have all the resources? How do we get resources? So all of these things are legitimate questions and legitimate things that we want to help you guys with Care Portal. We can go to the next slide. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about Care Portal. Care Portal is 10 years old. We just celebrated our 10-year anniversary this year. It is a national organization, so I think we're in about 38 states the last time I checked. And we've been here in Georgia since 2016. So we've had a presence here since 2016. Like I said, we're in 44 of our counties now. And we're going to walk through the process of how Care Portal works. So you go to the next slide. The first step is uncovering needs. So how do we get these needs into Care Portal? Because Care Portal essentially is just a platform that shares the needs for these children and families. So for us here in Georgia, we always start with the Department of Children and Family Services. We actually have a state contract with the state to hopefully get Care Portal throughout the whole state of Georgia. So we have agencies that sign up and get involved with Care Portal. And we always start with DFACS. So we just launched here in Douglas County about a month ago. So DFACS is our only agency right now that's inputting needs. So as they are working with the kids and families on their caseloads, the case managers, as they're working with them, if they discover a need that a family has, and if they don't have the resources for it, or their resources have been tapped out because they are limited, since they are a government agency, then they may say, hey, let's try putting this into Care Portal. So they will find that need. And then the next slide is step 2, where they actually will submit that need into the Care Portal platform. And I like to tell churches and the community as we're talking about Care Portal, these needs are vetted. So these are families they're working with, children they're working with. They are approved by a supervisor before they ever go into the platform. So I know for me personally, as I serve on Care Portal with my church, like that just gives me peace of mind. I don't have to go do my own like background work or whatever. I know that this family, this child, whatever it may be, has been vetted, it's been talked about with a supervisor before it even enters the platform. So that is just, gives me peace of mind, personally. So once it gets vetted and talked about, then it'll get submitted. And then step 3, the next slide, is that it gets shared with the community and the churches. So as churches sign up to be a part of Care Portal, when a need gets put into the system, you get an email. So an email pops up and it says, oh, this need just came through. We have a single mom and she just had a baby and she needs some diapers and wipes and some, a crib for her baby. Maybe she doesn't have all that. If I get that email and I read it and I'm like, hey, my crib that I use for my 3 girls has been sitting in my basement for 7 years and I don't need it anymore. Let me give it to this mom. So that I would say I could help with that need. And then I get the opportunity, the caseworker would give me the mom's information. I get the opportunity to call that mom, to make a connection with her and say, I'm gonna bring you a crib tomorrow. And she gets a crib, she gets support from me. So that's kind of how that part works. Step 4, I kind of already went through that, is that I get to connect with her. And you guys as a church and a community get the opportunity to connect with people in your community as well. A lot of times, the needs that we see are tangible needs, right? They're things that these families need right away, but we know that tangible needs probably also leads to a heart issue, a connection issue, something more than just a bed, something more than just groceries for the week. There's more going on, and that's when we get to really step in and be like, I'm providing this for you, but I'm also providing so much more. I'm providing someone that will listen, somebody that will care for you, somebody that will support you. So it's just a really amazing way to make meaningful connections with people in our community. We can go to the next slide. These are the most requested items that we see through Care Portal. So a lot of bed needs. It's amazing how many children are sleeping on the floor that don't have a bed, don't have their own bed, or sleeping on an air mattress. It's just kind of mind-boggling to me. Mattresses, couches, groceries, some rent and utility help. That's really big right now. Diapers, wipes. We also encourage our agencies to use it, for whatever it may be that these families are dealing with. I love when prom season comes along because our agencies will put in things for like prom tickets or help with dresses or, things to make these youth and kids feel normal, even though their lives are a little chaotic. They deserve opportunity to feel like they're not missing out on things. So those are our most requested items. We can go to the next slide. This is kind of our mission at Care Portal, and we call it the Circles of Care. So we believe that every child deserves to be supported, that they deserve to be supported by their family, that hopefully that family is supported by a church, and then they are supported by the local community. And these white circles indicate a disconnect. Not everybody gets that. Not every child is supported by their family. Not every family is supported by the church. Not every church and families are supported by the community. We are disconnected. And the hope and goal with Care Portal is that we can, connect the dots, connect the circles, come back together. That we can really be like that Acts church, right? That supported and cared for each other no matter what. So that is our hope. That is what we believe God will do through this ministry, is make connections. Go to the next slide. This is what a need looks like in the system. So when our agency puts in a need, this is what it will look like. You'll get an email. It'll look like this. You'll see a purpose statement up here at the very top, like why is it that you're helping this child and family. You'll see a description of what is needed, a little story, so the caseworker will write something that tells you why this family needs what they need, and then you'll see the list of needs over here on the side. So if I had the mattress, but I didn't have the bed frame, then somebody else could say, hey, I've got that bed frame, let's do this together. So this is kind of just an example of what the needs look like when they go into the system. And again, if you sign up and you are a part of it, it comes straight to your email. You don't have to go look for it. You don't have to be like, what do I do with this? It all comes straight to you. You get all the information. It's pretty amazing. It takes out a lot of the work on your end. Okay, we go to the next slide. I want to show you the impact that we're having. So like I said, Care Portal is a national organization. So all of these blue states up here are using Care Portal. And we have served over 384,000 children in the U.S. Yes, had an economic impact of over $145 million. That is money from the church being the church. That is not money coming from an agency. That is not money coming from the government. That is not money coming from other organizations. This is the people of God. This is the people of God giving their resources, giving their thing, their items, because that's what we're called to do. And we have over 7,000 response teams, which is what we call a church that gets involved. They're a response team throughout the United States. Super exciting. So we can go to the next slide, which will show our impact here in Georgia. So we have served over 12,000 kids since we started in 2016. And our economic impact just hit over $6 million. Putting these numbers in yesterday, that like shocked me because when I started with Care Portal here 3 years ago, we weren't even at $1 million of economic impact. So in the past like 3 years, we have hit over $6 million. So I know numbers don't say everything, but they truly help paint the story of what's going on. And we have 217 churches here in Georgia that are serving with Care Portal. So we're just grateful, and it is a testament to the Lord and His people of what is going on here through the ministry of Care Portal. We go to the next slide. So as far as getting involved, I think, one, you guys have already done the first part. You've recognized that there's a need. There is a need for children and families to feel supported. And whether that's getting involved with the church or whether that's getting involved as a community partner, there's a place for everybody. So the hope and goal is that we can get New Jerusalem involved, we can talk to some of our community partners, hopefully get them involved, and be a part of this ministry. Like I said, we launched about a month ago, so we just have DFACs right now entering needs. If we can build more churches, get more churches involved, then we can add other agencies that are working with this population. So, but we have to have the church support to be able to support those requests that come in. So let me know how we can talk about moving forward or anything like that after this presentation. I think that was my last slide, so yeah, it was. What questions can I answer for you guys? Are there any questions that we have? Yes.
Is there a particular area in Douglasville that is most needed?
That's a great question. That I can't really answer since I'm not the one inputting the needs. I will say, since we've started a month ago here, I think the department's put in about 6 needs. So I don't know where exactly in the county they have been, but yeah, they have needs and they're putting them in. So that would be a great question to ask.
I have a question.
Yeah.
After that need is fulfilled, then where does it go from there?
So once it's fulfilled, it's kind of up to your church how you want to proceed. We love the stories where connection is taken further, but you're going to run into those people who are just door openers, I call them. They're going to open the door and take what you have and then close it. But the hope and goal is that you can continue a relationship in whatever way that looks like.
Now, is your agency, after that need is met, is that information passed on to you or that need has been met?
Yeah, so the agency worker would close out the need in the system. So that's kind of how we know that it's completed. But from there, that's really it that we see. You know, you guys are the local people here, so however you see to continue serving is up to you. Yes.
Can you explain a little bit more about the process? You mentioned having that lead point person, another leader
Yeah.
like myself, so not to church. I know you connect with the church, but how would somebody like myself steps for an individual?
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question. So Care Portal has the church at the point of care because we believe this is our job. This is what God calls us to do. So our churches get trained. The people that sign up in the churches get trained. Those that are outside of churches, we don't train. So if you were to sign up outside of a church, then you get connected to a church. And a church will always be the point of care. The church will always be the one connecting with families, delivering the need, because they get training. We can't train every single person on the street, unfortunately. So yeah, if you were an individual outside of church that signed up, which you totally can, you will just get connected with a church, and they are the ones that end up connecting with the family.
So the follow-up to that would be, so the church has the list of what the needs are, and then the church, the point of person would come to individuals in the church and say, do you have that bed? Do you mentioned getting an email.
Right.
Still directly to the church.
Okay, yes, there's a couple of settings we could do, like if a church signs up, where either everyone that's signed up on the team gets the email at the same time, so you can just respond individually as you are led, or it can be where the team leader, the point person, sends it out to the people on their team and says, hey, this is a need we wanna meet. Can we do that together? So it can work both ways. Yeah.
Andrew, you mentioned in one of your slides about rent and utilities support, and I understand that's kind of a subset of, the grocery services that you provide. Does the organization, do you collaborate with any local entities, for example, that will provide rent and utility support? I'm thinking about like Talatuna Community Action Partnership Incorporated. They're here in Douglas County.
Okay.
But I refer a few people to school, but they get tapped out. They reach their financial capabilities there. So then I'm just wondering if there's a linkage or collaboration with in that particular area.
Yeah, so we don't facilitate that. Like if the department facilitated some sort of relationship, then that would be great. When we train the agencies, we say you need to use all of your resources first before you put something in the Care Portal. So if a rent need goes in or a utility need goes in, it's probably because they haven't been able to find those resources on their side. So from there, if they put a rent need in or a utility need in, then it's basically they're asking the community for help because they've tried all the other avenues and have not been able to find that help. So we also ask them not to put too many of those needs in, just because we want those connections to be made. And a lot of times if you're just paying a bill, you don't really get to connect. You're just like, what's the number? Let me call. And we need that. We need the people who are generous and want to pay bills for families. But we really want those connections made. And we've found with rent and utility bills, it doesn't happen as often. So we ask them to limit those needs. But it's also a very big need right now in our communities. So yeah. So it's not something that we kind of collaborate with, but hopefully the department is collaborating with their community resources before they actually put that need in. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.
The adoption portion of it. From the status, a lot of hoops get to jump through to adopt a child, for example. What part does Care Portal play in that concern? Do you guys help there, or do you have no control of the red tapes?
No, that's a great question. Yeah, so we don't actually provide adoption support, but if a family was adopting through the department and there was something needed to make that adoption happen, whether it was, I don't know, maybe they needed some sort of something in their home or something like that, then they could put that need into Care Portal. Most of the needs that go into Care Portal are those tangible type needs. So it would be something like that. It wouldn't necessarily be we don't really have extra services or whatnot. It's just helping get those tangible needs met.
And do you have a point of contact within the department that would help address the parents' needs? I'm thinking that, for example, First Presbyterian Church of Douglasville, they're part of a larger organization called Circles, and they support parents who are going through, and this is a national program. They just happen to have an arm of it at First Presbyterian Church of Douglasville. It's an amazing program. So, but it's supporting the parents themselves, helping them get on their feet. So, is there a point of contact within the department that would have those types of support services for parents?
That's a great question. That would be something I could email them and ask, because our contact is the county director and then kind of her her leadership staff from there. But there's services that they don't know about, so they might not know about that one. So
I'm thinking about add something to that list. So
Yeah.
DER is a DFACS
yes,
person.
she's the county
She's
director.
familiar with circles and all of those services, because they're part of CORE.
Okay.
So, and she's a board member.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yes, Amy.
Would you go back to the last slide before this one?
Sure.
And kind of explain that a little more? I think that would be helpful.
Yeah. So this is our church launch plan. So for example, if New Jerusalem gets involved, kind of the next step would be, if you guys wanted to join and be a part of Care Portal, is to identify a point person. So that's essentially the person who says, I'm going to kind of head this ministry up. So that can be a lay person, that can be somebody on staff, whatever that would look like. So they kind of have admin capability over the platform as far as the settings for the church. They kind of help recruit, get people involved and on the response team for the church. So this is kind of your person that you're like, this is our cheerleader, this is who's going to take this and run with it. And so once we identify that person, then they get training from us. So they get training on the platform, we give them some training on recruitment and those types of things. And then they recruit what we call responders to join the response team. So however that looks like for your church. And then we have a responder training that our training team put together, which is amazing. It goes over things like poverty, dignity, trauma, working with caseworkers. So this kind of gives a good baseline before people start responding to needs. So it's not a required training, but it's something we highly encourage. And that's a training that we could come back and do for responders, or we could do it virtually if that works better. And then once we get responders on and trained, then you can start responding to needs and hopefully developing that culture of responding and discipleship as people are participating in the Care Portal. Yeah.
I was just wondering, you mentioned, of course, social services like DFACS or something like that. So that those are the workers that put in the request
Yes.
and need. So suppose a third party agency, say like Bethany,
Right.
program, would we be able to have access, like if a family needed something, like you mentioned, but if we're not directly working with DFACS, but we're a third party that's helping foster families and people with needs.
So that's something like once we build up our churches, that we can add more agencies, but we have to know that we have that support. So we kind of give it a few months and make sure that we've got enough churches, that DFACS's needs are being responded to, and then if it looks like that's working really well, or we've got more churches and not enough needs, then we'll start adding in other agencies who are working with this same population. So we gotta kind of balance it, gotta create a good ecosystem. Yeah.
If you go back and read that little, the first need responses, people way in the back right.
Oh, sure, yeah.
You go back to that.
The one that shows the need.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can go, I think that's maybe a couple slides back.
said go back on again?
Yes, sir, please.
Okay.
Keep going.
Keep going? Going?
Yep, right there. Perfect.
Okay.
Okay. Forward. Stop. Okay. Yeah, so Darlene asked if I could just read this so that I know it's small for those in the back. So this is an example of a need that got put in. So it says to help improve a child's safety and well-being. And the story here says that a father and mother married and share one child in common who is female. She's 20 months old. Due to circumstances, the father and child had to move from their home and are now residing with the paternal grandmother. The 20-month-old child has been sleeping with her father. The father has requested a toddler bed so that she can be safe in her own bed, and this will allow for better sleep for his daughter. Father and his daughter are currently residing in the home of paternal grandparents. So all the needs that go in are confidential, so they're not going to share names or anything like that. And then if I were the one to respond to this need, that's when I'd get the family's information. So everything stays confidential, that goes out publicly, and then once somebody responds, that's when you get the family's information. So helps protect those that we're helping. We want them to feel dignified and important. We don't need to have all of their business out there, so that's why they stay confidential as they go into the system.
Now, question. For instance, hypothetically, these people live in some part of Georgia where this need is, and so the church would be responsible not only just to come up with the need, but also to get the equipment or whatever there to that home.
Correct.
That expense is on them.
Correct, yes, yeah. And so if your church signs up, you set up a radius for your church. So let's say, you only want to receive requests within 10 miles of your church. So those would be the only requests that you would see is based on your church's radius. So you're not going to see needs down in Savannah. They're not going to come up here. You'll just see the ones that are here locally for you. Yes, ma'am.
And the goal, the major overarching goal for Care Portal is it to keep children from coming into care.
Yes, or just families.
And families
to
to
stay
keep them together.
Yes.
Yeah, because we can see how you got the mom and the dad together, now the dad, you have to move away from the mom.
Right.
And it's a very transient situation.
Right.
That you need help, or eventually the child will be brought into care.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, unfortunately, like Care Portal wise, we're not on that side of things, right?
Right.
We're just sharing the needs essentially.
Yeah.
But the whole point is the child. So you will see needs in Care Portal that is helping the parent, but when the parent gets help, the child is helped, right? So the whole goal for Care Portal is that the child is supported, whether that's with a foster family, whether that's with a biological family, whether that's them as a youth aging out of the system now, needing that support. So you'll see it through the whole funnel there of the child welfare system.
Let me ask another question. The supplies are gotten there, and because sometimes these people sell to get money,
right.
you take it there, they sold it or whatever. There was no way to follow that up except that the church goes and looks into that matter to make sure that that need that is met is really serving as a need to be met.
Right, right. Well, that's why the agency vets it on the front end. So before they're even putting it into the system, they're vetting it. So, we're not perfect. We all make mistakes. But the hope is they're not putting in needs for a family multiple times. We don't want this to be a Band-Aid situation. We want this to be something that's truly going to help them succeed. So the vetting is the agency's job, and we're trusting that they're vetting correctly. And we know that doesn't always happen, but that's kind of, when we train the agencies, we talk a lot about that we're trusting them to vet so that your trust and the need stays
where it should be.
Any other questions? Well, I will stick around if you guys want to speak to me individually, but I'm just so thankful for your time. Thanks for coming out tonight. Thank you, Darlene, for having me. And yeah, grateful that you were all here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, earlier song request, Blaine, could you just play In the Shadow of the Steeple YouTube song? And I'll say, listen to the words. Huh? Oh. Came as an email.
Right.
Broken dreams and broken hearts, smiling.
I won't rewind it, guys.
Hearing voices all around us, words of anger and of hurt, broken dreams and broken hearts, smiling faces hide the pain, trying hard to just reach in, hidden scars and secret hurts. In the shadow of the steeple, kids are crying. In troubled homes and broken families, so much sorrow, such great need. In the shadow of the steeple, hear the voices of confusion, so lonely and so long. Storms have come and tossed. Many hide cover shame, and on others place the blame. Missing peace and guilty cause. Who can heal the broken hearted? Offer hope and brighter days. Who can wash away their sin, answer prayer if they're within? Only Jesus. In the shadow of the steeple, kids are crying. In troubled homes and broken families, so much sorrow, such great need. In the shadow of the steeple, in the shadow of the steeple, kids are crying. In troubled homes and broken families, so much sorrow, such great need. In the shadow of the steeple, Lord, please give us eyes to see. In the shadow of the steeple.
Testing, can you hear me? A couple of years ago, I was watching a conference with these powerful religious leaders. Their concern, as they were discussing not only politics, but they were discussing what does the church do beyond the weekend. I thought that was a good conference, and I said, well, let me hear this. They said the people are concerned that they get their praise on when church is going on. But the question is, why are the doors shut during the week? That was a good conference. Because the needs of people don't stop when they come to church on Sunday or Saturday, but they go on during the week. The question is, what is the church doing during the week? That's the question. What are we doing? And it is a concern that since we know God and we've been given the mandate to help, what do we do with that? And thank you for coming, because actually, there are testimonies of people who were picked up and given a chance because someone nice came by and worked with them. I'm one of those. My churches testify to that all the time. What would have happened if those church folks didn't mentor me? I would be standing here in Georgia right now. And I really believe we have something to share. We do. Whether we adopt, children or not, we can still be a big part of a family that needs. The mandate that God says for us to be door knockers, let's find out what people are. That's what we have to do. They're not coming here, we need to go there. The mandate to go ye therefore simply says, you go. Don't wait on them to come. And I thank you. I remember we attended a conference and the cry was, how do we band together to work in a way that is not confrontational because of different religious beliefs, but how do we work together for the common cause of someone? That's always the question. What do we do together as a body of believers to help someone? And I'm glad for this tonight, because we're learning about resources that are available to help us do this. You always got different kind of soldiers in the army. Those who are foot soldiers, those who fight on the ground, those who decipher intelligence to know where to go. There are people that do different things. And I think that is a time for us to really see how do we help, where do we go, what do we do. And to have these resources and people sit at the table with these resources is just wonderful to know. I've learned so much about bed making. And some of you folks that are giver and know where those resources are for folks so we can do that. And I guess the volunteer work is who wants to help us do this. And so my church is interested. I know I am. What can we do? I know we can't do everything, but we can do something. And because I think everyone deserves a chance. And many times circumstances happen to young people, children that they didn't ask for. But now they got to scuffle and make it on their own. And do you know how many kids are out there unguarded, unmentored, not knowing, just making it the best way they know how? Those are the ones that need our help because they don't know what they're doing. I saw some at the hospital today. You can tell. They're trying to be adults without being bad with knowledge of big adults. So, there are people, yes, that get over on you, but still, you try to help. You try to do something. So, I don't know what we need to do, but I think all of us are concerned that you wouldn't be here today. And we'd like to partner up with you. to make sure that we can do our part. We run a food pantry that I am delighted to be a part of. To greet people when they come and to hear them say, thank you all for being open. If they just want to stop by just for a cheerful word because they've been going through it. One lady whose husband just passed recently, tomorrow I'll be doing their funeral. She's not a member of my church, but she is in my heart because she's a human person. And so it is my joy to serve that family who's hurting at the present time. But if we weren't here, where would she go? So I'm so glad that we made ourselves available to do this. We need you. We need everybody. And so let's see how we band together to make things happen. Making Douglasville the best place you could ever want to be. Of course, I'm here. We're going to do that. But I really believe that. I think we went to one, and then I'll shut up. We went to another conference where, why you all look at me like that? You said, yeah, please shut up. I read your thoughts. But we were at another conference, and it was talking about how many homeless people, and then, and I'm saying, well, these people are out on the streets, but the potential is school dropouts become homeless. And they begin to list a litany of people who become dropouts, who become homeless through various means. Divorce, where people have to leave a home and have no place to go. And I never thought about that. But these are all potentials to be homeless. And I said, boy, that's really something, how people can become homeless. So what do we do to stop it? You can't put a Band-Aid, we gotta help heal some of this. Counseling with people before they get married. And just those kind of things that we can do to just do what we can to help. But we need each other. And so, hey, count us in. Thank you, Darlene. It's our resource guru. I don't know, I really don't know. All these years as pastor, I don't know how a church makes it without a resource person. Because if we're going to be busy doing something, Reggie, all the rest, we've got to have an organization that really cares about community. And that leads us to really do what we can. So we're going to try to do what we can and see where we can make a difference in the life of people. The joy is to be able to find that resource, help someone, and say, we care. Thank you. Now, I am to tell you all to go home now, right?
We're going to have a song, not necessarily the Chevrolet song.
We got to have this song. You all want, please. They don't know this song. They don't know it. Everybody wants to be acquainted with this song before you leave. Get them ready? You got to repeat after I sing this. You got to repeat when I sing, okay? Just like I sing it. Ready? Darlene prompted me to do this. That was on the cover. Here it goes. I used to drive a Chevrolet. Now Jesus is the way. I used to drive a little Ford. Now I'm cruising with my Lord. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Now. Na 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 na. I don't need any dough. Christ Jesus is my home. I don't need any boo. You mess with Satan and you lose. Well, na 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 na. Na 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 na. Nee 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 Victory, victory,
Victory, victory.
that's what Jesus means to me.
That's what Jesus means to me.
He's loving me, loving me,
Loving me, loving me.
throughout eternity.
Throughout eternity.
And I say, na, 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 na.
Na, 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 na.
Na, 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 na.
Na, 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 na.
Ni, 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 na. Na, 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 na. So everybody clutching this network. We just made choir members out of it. But you know, I did this at a care home. Things were sad and what have you. But to my surprise, everybody in that care home, nurses, doctors, everybody was singing this. And it just brought that care home to life. So, because we do care, we got something to share. That's all I'm saying. You take that song wherever you want. It's not copyrighted or anything like that. But we're ready to close. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming. Don't let this be the last time you step in this fantastic dining. Glad you all came. Nice to meet you. Father, thank you so much. It has been a joy to be here with partners in caring, partners in caring. Thank you so much for Andrea. They're stepping out by faith to reach and do whatever they can. And so God, help us to do our part. May you bless us and keep us. Now, Lord, may you be in us to sustain us, above us to shelter us, beneath us to catch us, in front of us to guide us, and behind us to protect us. This is our prayer together in Jesus' name. Let us all say. Amen.
Well, thank you again for coming. Now, I have one more invite. Food for the Soul is our monthly Meatless Monday plant-based, encouraged, community-free meal. And so we have the last Monday of each month. This month, June 30th, we plan on having a cookout. God's willing, the weather doesn't change. But if it does, we'll just come inside. So you'll get an opportunity. It's based on a lot of things. First of all, we try to encourage a vegetarian diet. I don't say we all follow it, but we encourage it. And then the other thing is that a lot of times, because we're a pantry, we give out eggplants and zucchini and squash. And there's many people who receive it don't know what it is, or what to do with it, or how to prepare it. So this gives opportunity to see all the various ways they can take those foods and make them into really nutritious, healthy meals. So we have a lot of fun. We have a great program. So on Monday, 5:30 is when we start. We have some prizes. We have some music, good devotional thoughts. So just come and join us if you can. Michael, you should be raising your hand as a testimony. But anyway,
what's the signature dish?
We started out with the signature dish that only served 10 people. It's gotten better than his broccoli salad now. But you're welcome to come. And our church services are on Saturdays. We'll still be doing 11:15. We're changing our hours, but that's 11:15 currently. So anyway, you're welcome for a lot of the programs we have here. There's a Sunday basketball tournament. Whoever wins $100. That's on Sunday. So we're active. But again, I really, truly appreciate each and every one of you for coming out tonight. And make sure you meet with Andrea, because this is a wonderful opportunity. Like I said, they're already vetted, and they're right here in our community. So thank you again for coming. And there's food to take out. We're still eating Okay, thank you. We have a lot of bananas. Take home, clean them, with their bananas. Please take them home.
Yeah.